Hello and welcome to Dining with Death. This episode is on our playlist Dining with the Damned, where we discuss criminals who are sentenced to die, their crimes, their execution, and then we eat their last meal. I'm Stacey Lee. Let's begin. My wife is sick, the caller said, critically ill. We need help right away as soon as you can get here. Those words were the beginning of the end for the unfortunate doctor to answer the call. Not much is known about the early life of Victor Feguer. He was born sometime in 1935, somewhere in Michigan. He was a drifter with no known employer or education. There is conflicting information as to which city this crime actually took place in, but more sources than not say Milwaukee. In the summer of 1960, Victor Feguer rented a room in a very run-down boarding house in the slums of Milwaukee. For reasons known only to him, Feguer obtained a copy of the Yellow Pages and started going through the doctors section alphabetically. He started calling them from the A section, telling each doctor he spoke to that his wife was in urgent need of medical attention. The first doctors he called turned down his requests for assistance, but then he came to Dr. Edward Bartles, who agreed to come to the location and assist Victor and the wife he claimed needed his help. Dr. Bartles told his wife Ruth that he was going on a house call and might be gone for quite some time. When Dr. Bartles arrived at 1134 Locust Street in Milwaukee, Feguer took him hostage and shot him in the head, killing him instantly. He then took his body and dumped it in a cornfield in Illinois. When Dr. Bartles did not return home by the next day, his wife Ruth called the police. The police were sent to the boarding house where the doctor reported he was going and quite quickly deduced that it was Feguer that had called him. As Dr. Bartles' wife Ruth was waiting to hear back from the police on what they found, her phone rang. A man's voice said, "Your husband is dead," and then he hung up. 11 days after the doctor disappeared, Feguer was arrested in Montgomery, Alabama when he tried to sell Dr. Bartles' car. At the time of his arrest, he had a hitchhiker with him. And when the police caught him, he said, "It's lucky you came upon me so fast and that I've got someone with me. Otherwise, we'd have it out right here and now." A few days after Feguer's arrest, the doctor's body was found in the cornfield beside a narrow lane. Police believe that Feguer did all of this to try to gain access to prescription drugs the doctor may have been carrying with him in his bag that he kept with him for house calls. When Feguer was arrested, he claimed that a drug addict from Chicago had actually murdered the doctor. Feguer then claimed that he killed the drug addict and threw his body in the Mississippi River, but police were never able to find any evidence that this person even existed. So he tried the "let's blame the non-existent drug addict for the murder" bit. I think with these really old cases, it's always hard to tell what is truth and what is fiction and what is lost to the ages. Shortly after the arrest and telling the story about the drug addict killing the doctor, Feguer completely stopped speaking and wouldn't even acknowledge that he was being spoken to. This went on for so long that he was examined by a psychiatrist who deemed him fit to stand trial. He did finally speak at trial, only to say, "I want to waive the preliminary hearing, plead guilty, and get this over with." Feguer never revealed what his motive was for this bizarre crime and never spoke of it while in custody. He was sentenced to death by hanging. Even though Feguer stated at trial that he wanted to get this over with, his attorney filed an appeal for clemency with President Kennedy. President Kennedy felt the crime was so brutal and so cold that he refused the request. Feguer was held at the federal penitentiary in Leavenworth, Kansas, but was taken back to Iowa on March 5, 1963 for his execution because Leavenworth was not set up at that time to perform executions. He remained on death row for 10 days awaiting his hanging. On March 14, 1963, Feguer sat in an all-night vigil with a Roman Catholic priest. He was given a new suit for his execution. He requested his last meal and then dressed in his suit. 2 guards escorted him to the gallows, and he was hanged at dawn. Feguer was buried in an unmarked grave in Fort Madison City Cemetery. He would be the last person to be executed in Iowa because the state abolished capital punishment in 1965. The next federal execution would not be held until June 11, 2001, when bomber and terrorist Timothy McVeigh was executed in Terre Haute, Indiana. Victor Feguer was only 28 years old at the time of his death. He caused a lot of heartache and a lot of grief in his short life. So what did he order for his last meal? I'm going to show you. Here it is. Victor Feguer's last meal request. A single olive with the pit in it. He claims he wanted the olive as a symbol of peace, like an olive branch, and so this was his final request. Supposedly the prison had to go in search of olives with the pit in them, and it wasn't easy to find, and then he didn't eat it. But I'm gonna eat it. That's what we do here. Wouldn't be my last meal, but that's what he chose. Nothing left but the pit. Thank you for joining me today as we went dining with the damned. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time on Dining with Death.